See, now just a big single file line back through the first 6. How about Stewart, Marty?
He has been very impressive. Remember, they were not happy with the car yesterday. Greg Ziffidelli just came on the radio and said, the car looks terrific through the corners. Tony said, I'm not going to mess around today.
Oh, look at them racing back here. They're going for it now, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Got to.
I think that was Biffle in the 16 that maybe had to get out of the gas off turn 2 that kind of caused that whole jam up there.
And that's, like we talked earlier, when you're pushing here, that's where you're going to see it at work, coming off the 2.
Well, right now, Junior about 4 or 5 car lengths in front of Tony Stewart, while Michael Waltrip and Ward Burton race back for 4th and 5th positions. How about Biffle? Dave?
Alan, Greg just radioed in. I just can't keep it on the bottom anymore. I'm just taking care of it.
Just taking care of him because he's going to start on the pole for the Daytona 500. He just wants to be sure and have a car to be there with.
You see, he had, there again, you just hear that 16 car just feathering the throttle coming off of turn 2.
Because he doesn't want to crash this car and have to go to a backup and start all over trying to figure out what he needs on that car. They don't know exactly what they need on this car, but at least they don't have to start over.
Yeah, they need it in one piece.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the only thing he's got to lose today, is if they crash the race car.
Let's try to listen here to Biffle. Goes down into 1, on the gas. Just rolled out of it. A little bit getting in. Make the car turn, get down the bottom. Let's listen here.
Coming 1 back.
Pretty good there.
Some outside. Help coming. Watch them in the mirror. Some outside to 9.
Oh, he lost a lot of ground off the 2.
That's right, because they're backing off, going in
They're
1.
behind the 9 if you need it.
There you go. Roll it out. Yeah, he's got his hands full right there.
Dave Blaney going by in the 23. Tony
Stewart
Stewart
go by now.
trying to reel in Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the top spot. 4 laps to go. The first of today's Gatorade 125.
The 16's just going to say, have at it.
50 car smoking.
Don't do it.
Doggone it, don't do it. He's in the race, isn't he? Yes, he's 10th position.
Derek Cope in that 50. Again, 41st on his time trial speed. 43rd in last year's owner points. One of the bubble cars today.
Yo, wow. That was close.
That 9 car got awfully loose getting into turn 3 right there.
Casey Kane taking over for Bill Elliott in that 9 for Ray Evernham and Dodge this
He had
year.
to get way out of the throttle. He's going to get passed by a couple more cars there.
It's going to take him out of a transfer spot, possibly. Casey Mears by in the 41. Dale Jarrett working on him now in the 88. And because Greg Biffle is outside of the lead pack, transfer spot now becomes 14th.
And that's it. 88 and 9 are racing for 14. And Cope, will that 50 car last 3 more laps, 2.5 more laps?
Boy, and you know he's feeling it, too. He knows it. He knows he's in the race right now. He's got to hold that spot for 3 more laps. A lot of pressure.
TNT Sports is live at Daytona International Speedway with Speed Weeks 2004, the Gatorade 125, the 2 races to set the starting order for Sunday's Daytona 500. We're down to the final couple of laps in the first of today's 2 races. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is leading. We're watching the final automatic transfer race into the 500 between Dale Jarrett in the 88 and Casey Kane in the 9.
And as long as those guys are racing side by side and even 3 abreast, that's going to help those guys in front trying to stay in front of them.
John Andretti getting in the middle of it in the 1.
Now they got the 1 car in the middle of the mix, but here comes the lead. Junior in the 8, leading Tony Stewart in 20, the 2nd spot. If Tony Stewart were to win this race, it would be unbelievable because they have complained all week about how slow their car has been. But here he is in contention for the win.
Tony started this race in 19th position. Junior started 2nd. Greg Biffle led the opening 22 laps until a set of caution flag pit stops. He lost the lead in the pit stop. It was Michael Waltrip off the pit road first, and then Junior took the lead from him at lap 37. We've now started lap 50. White flag is up. Dale Jr. seeking his second win in a Gatorade 125. He won his qualifying race a year ago. His other 3 performances on Thursdays here at Daytona finishes at 4th, 2nd, and 2nd. It's a pretty impressive record.
But Tony did complain about his car not being able to close up. You see that gap of 3 or 4 car lengths between him and the 8? That's really what he's complaining about. It will not make up that gap, will not close up on the back bumper of the car in front of him.
Well, his father won 12 of these Thursday qualifying races at Daytona. Today, Dale Earnhardt Jr. takes his second. Earnhardt Jr. wins race 1, close race for 3rd at the line with McMurray edging Michael Waltrip, it looks like.
And Hope lost 2 spots on the last lap. Put him out. He finished 16th. He run 13th.
John Andretti there in the 1, just finishing outside the cut.
No, he didn't.
No, he did, because Greg Biffle passed Cope also. So Andretti got the last transfer. And the 50 car there, left of screen, has got to sit back and nervously watch the results of race 2 to see if he'll be in the Daytona 500 or if he'll be watching on Sunday. Let's go to Matt.
And Tony Eury Sr. just climbed to the pit box, and what did you tell me? You've got a lot of work to do still?
Yeah, our car's not very good for some reason. Car was real strong yesterday in practice and was real happy with it. Went back today with the sun out, and it's not very good. So we pushed the right front tire off in that first 23 laps or so we run there when that caution came out. And seemed like our teammate don't want to be a teammate no more. So we ended up dumping him at the end to go on and win the race, what we're supposed to do. And that's the way they want to play. That's the way we're going to play.
Should make for an interesting Sunday, guys.
Wow, that was strong.
Michael Waltrip reference there. Woo. So Dale Earnhardt Jr. picks up in the neighborhood of 50 grand for winning today's first Gatorade 125 as we check out the results. Tony Stewart from deep in the pack to second. And what this means is that Earnhardt Jr. will start 3rd, Stewart 5th, McMurray 7th, and so on in Sunday's Daytona 500.
This is the inside line for the lineup of the Daytona 500. There we see Andretti, last car to transfer in today's race.
And Derek Cope in 16th place. From there on down, did not make the cut. They'll have to wait for the results of the second race and then go back on time trial speed and provisionals to fill out the 500 field. So race number 1 is over. We'll talk with some of the finishers and then set the stage for race number 2 when TNT returns to Daytona. The Gatorade 125s from Daytona International Speedway are brought to you by Gatorade Thirst Quencher. It's in the Gatorade 125s. Is it in you? AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone. And high endurance clear gel from Old Spice. Race number 1 of the Gatorade 125s is over here at Daytona. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in Gatorade victory lane with our Bill Weber.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. climbs out his 7th career win at Daytona. And this is a big one. Put you in great shape for Sunday. How was it out there?
Oh, real tight. Man, that first run, you know, was racing with Greg for 4 or 5 laps, and that's it. Tires were junk after 4 laps, and I knew if I was going to win, I had to get my Michael real quick, and I knew if I didn't push him past that 24, he'd get stuck beside him or behind him one, and he did, and left a little bit of hole down there, and I was going for the win there. So, you know, the car's good. I wanted to see what my car would do out front, and it was okay out front, and you know, we got a great car for the 500. Just got to be leading. That's all there is to it.
After the race, Tony Sr. talked with Matt, and he said the 15 and the 8 didn't seem to work together, like the 15 maybe didn't run with you as you expected.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, I was on the outside there at one point in the race early, and we had a pit stop to go, and he went to the inside and left me out there by myself, and, you know, so that kind of wrote the script for the rest of the race for me, and I was out there on my own from then on out. So
should we expect to see you guys together on Sunday like we've seen in the past?
Well, I mean, me and Michael will draft fine together in the future. We just didn't that day. Today, me and Tony, same way. We'll race each other one race and help each other the next. But you know, you can have friends, but you can't be friends to the end. I mean, you know, you got to go for the win. But real proud of my team. I got a benchmark my daddy set as far as wins at this place I'm shooting for. And we got another one today.
All right, see you Sunday.
Thank you.
Matt?
Michael, strong comments by Tony Uri Sr. from your teammate on the 8. What happened between yourself and Junior?
You know, it was a dead-end road where Junior was heading. They were all lined up on the bottom, so I just got in line. You know, it wasn't any big deal. I love Dale Jr. We worked so well together. I thought when we caught the 24, it'd be a chance for him to get me. He pushed me so strong to the 24, I couldn't turn my car to the left. He had me pushed out of the way. But, you know, Junior and I, we do a nice job on the track. Those cats on pit road of the 8, you know, you just have to take it with a grain of salt when you hear some of the stuff they come up with.
Still going to work with them on Sunday?
Like I said, I love Dale Jr., and we've had a lot of success together, and that will continue. I thought we did a nice job working together, and I don't blame him for getting the win. The last time I checked, they paid more if you finished first, so our Napa Chevy ran good. That was a great chance for Junior to jump on me. You know, I'm amazed that those crew guys can carry on like that, but we know what the big picture is, and the old Napa Chevy will be a part of it on Sunday.
Big picture's another Daytona 500 win. Dave?
Tony Stewart comes home second. And Tony, after earlier this week, I mean, are you just pleased, surprised, or are you just proud of your guys?
Well, I'm somewhat surprised, I have to admit, but I'm also extremely proud of my guys. I mean, we kind of knew what position we were in the last couple of days, you know, with horsepower. So we just really worked on our car and tried to get the handling the best we could. And, you know, that's what happened today. We just outdrove those guys. We had a car that drove better than a lot of their cars. And, you know, when it came time to move around on the racetrack and go places that we needed to go, you know, we were able to do that with a good car. So I'm proud of all these guys in the Some Depot team today.
This will now be Tony's best start since his outside pole in 1999. Marty?
Well, Dave, inevitably the twin 125s have some drama in them. Unfortunately, it's bad drama for Derek Cope today. You were running in the top 10, looked like you were in the field easily. Then what happened, Derek?
Oh, I just tried to, I had a run at Andretti, and then he tried to, you know, move his way in line, and then he just tried to hit me in the rear and turn me sideways. I saved it, but I lost all my momentum, and then out front we're tough without nobody pushing, and I thought Mears was going to hang with me, and, you know, he got me on the outside. A mistake on my part, but, you know, just a fun race, you know, and just unfortunate that we come up a little short. We'll just have to see how the second race goes and see if we get in or not.
How difficult will it be to watch that second race, Derek?
I've been there before. I'll be there again probably, so I'll just get up there and what comes may, you know, we'll deal with it. But it's unfortunate for these guys because, you know, they gave me a great race car. Mike Hillman, the guys, I got oiled down the first segment. Caution come out, we come in, he freed it up, and she was good from there, and I just hung out there for a while and, you know, made some good moves and got a little bit of help, and I thought we were going to be in good shape, and then that I let Andretti in about 3 times to save his ass, and then over here he just, Middle Giant went crazy.
The 1990 winner will have to wait to see how race 2 unfolds to see if he'll be in the 500.
There's no emotion in racing. Oh, I tell you what, I love it. Already, we've had a qualifying race, and already they're emotional. Atta boys!
Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the first of today's Gatorade 125s. They're gridding the cars for race number 2. We'll turn our attention in that direction when NASCAR on TNT returns to the Daytona International Speedway.
A 2004 NBA All-Star Game.
Live from Los Angeles.
Exclusively
on TNT. Welcome to my house.
Got the rookie game on Friday night in prime time for the first time. LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony are going to team up. Yao Ming's going to head the sophomore team. They're going to play against Saturday night, the slam dunk contest and three-point shootout, preceded by 3 hours of All-Star Weekend programming. And then Sunday, the 53rd NBA All-Star Game. Shaq, Tim Duncan, and more mixing with the stars of Hollywood. NBA All-Star Weekend on TNT coming up. Dave?
And the man who carried those All-Star colors, Jeff Burton, to a 5th place run here. And I heard you describe an imperfect race car to other guys.
Well, we've got a mechanical issue going on with, I don't know what it is. The thing quits running. It misses and pops, and then it does it the whole rest of the race. The first 5 or 7 laps, it's fine. And then it'll start doing it. It's done it every day, and we can't find it. We've changed everything in the car, and I just can't seem to find it. The handle's pretty good. It's not quite as good as it needs to be, but if we can get that thing out of it, it's going to go real fast.
All right, more work to do, but a great starting spot for Jeff Burton. Alan?
He's kind of describing the same thing the pit reporters were telling us about from Dale Jarrett's car earlier, too. Race number 2 is next on TNT when we come back to Daytona.
TNT's live coverage of NASCAR continues as we get ready for the second of the 2 Gatorade Twin 125 qualifying races. These guys got to sit and watch and learn in race number 1. We'll see what happens in race number 2. It's a 22-car field. They're paused for the command. So let's go trackside and get the engine started for race number 2.
And now here to give the command is the Grand Marshal of Gatorade race number 2, Curtis Lepley, the merchandising manager of South Florida ExxonMobil.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Elliott Sadler and Ricky Rudd make up an all-Ford front row, but this race has big names from front to back. Let's start in row 3 with Dave Burns.
Well, it was a very positive week for Kevin Harvick. He quit several practices early, and he was able to use yesterday's final practice to go to the back of the pack, to lead, to drive back and forth. They know that his car will either lead the entire way if he can get there, or if he goes back, it'll follow up and come through the pack very well. Marty?
Dave practiced yesterday not so good for Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. The car had right front tire problems. I asked Chad what he learned from watching the first race. He said, my worst nightmares are coming true. That's what I learned. Someone is going to have right front tire problems in this race. I just hope it's not us. Matt?
Marty, after crashing in Saturday night shootout, Ryan Newman just trying to bounce back to a rough start to Speed Weeks. He has a very strong Daytona 500 car. A little too much downforce, which hurt the car running by itself in qualifying, but should help the car while running in a pack of cars. He told me it maneuvers extremely well. He can go low, he can go high at will. Bill?
Matt, 22 cars, 50 laps, 125 miles away from the Daytona 500. Will it be Victory Lane or I-95 North? We're all about to find out.
Well, his father won 12 of these Thursday qualifying races at Daytona. Today, Dale Earnhardt Jr. takes his second.
Welcome back to Daytona. Why do you really want a good starting spot for Sunday? Well, only twice has the Daytona 500 been won by a driver starting outside the top 20. Bobby Allison started 33rd and won here in 1978. The other guy, the king of cool, Benny Parsons in 75 from 32nd. Back upstairs to Alan Wally in VP.
How about you, king of cool?
Thank you very much, Bill.
There you go. All right, let's take a look at the lineup for the second of today's qualifying races to set that starting field for the Daytona 500. Elliott Sadler winning the outside pole last Sunday in Bud Pole qualifying. He's locked into the 500. This is a test session for him. Everyone else trying to grab one of the other top 14 finishing positions besides Elliott Sadler to get a locked-in up-front spot for Sunday's race.
Great qualifying run for Kevin LePage and Joe Nemechek back in row 2. And Harvick, Sterling Marlin, I think they will be heard from before this race is over.
Heard a concern on the part of Jimmy Johnson's team over the tire issue here. He's going to come from row 4 with Rusty Wallace. Jeremy Mayfield will drop to the back of the field. His team changed an engine during the week this week. And in row 6, Robbie Gordon.
You know, Dave Burns was talking about Harvick having a good car, not putting a lot of laps. Another guy, Robbie Gordon, pretty happy with his car. Hey, Robbie, this is Wally up in the booth. Can you hear me?
Hit him again.
How about it, Robbie? This is Wally up in the booth. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Wally. How are you?
Doing good. Now, you had a car cover on your car most of the day yesterday, and that's usually a good sign from a driver. You must be pretty happy with that car right now.
So excited about our car. It was pretty fast in both the practices. We think we have a good race car. Obviously, the key to today is getting through here with a clean car. We won the 125 last year, but we're not going to take any unnecessary chances. Try to save this thing for the 500. One thing we do know is this car is better than the one we have in the trailer.
Well, that's good. Now, you watched the first race. Any concerns with tires for you guys? You guys pretty good.
Did some 25-lap runs in practice. We feel pretty good about our car. You know, it does concern me we have it running this kind of temperature. It's the hottest it's been down here. I was able to talk to both Greg Biffle and Johnny Sauter, and you know, they said they definitely both of them had tire issues. Unfortunately, our car was already pushed through tech at that time, so there's nothing you can do about it until after the first stop. I'm sure Chris Andrews and everybody on the Singular Wireless team will make some changes to it, and hopefully it's the right ones, and we can take this thing to the front.
Okay, Robbie, hope so. Good luck.
Thank you.
Robbie Gordon, defending winner of his Gatorade 125, going to line up in row 6. Race number 2 starts when we come back to Daytona. TNT's live coverage of the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series is from Daytona International Speedway. A beautiful mid-80-degree day. Hope it's like that where you are. And we're getting set to watch Gatorade 125 race number 2. They are less than a lap from the green flag for the second of the qualifying races. And let's head down to pit road. Bill, what do you have?
Alan Elliott Sadler will start on the front row for the Daytona 500. Will he protect his car today? No. Crew Chief Todd Parrott says they will race for the win. Ricky Rudd won the pole here in '83. His best finish third in '81. His best chance to win the Daytona 500 might be 2004. We'll see what happens. Matt?
Bill, the window for Rusty Wallace to win his first Daytona 500 is slowly closing. 0 for 21. If this is the magic year, he needs to help himself today with a strong starting spot. But what the 2 team has to deal with, 2 new pit crew members. They tested guys yesterday, put them on a plane today. A new jackman and tire carrier for Rusty Wallace, Dave.
And Mark Martin is also looking for his first Daytona win. He has been using words like perfect to describe his car all week long, and he just radioed to his guys, this is a warm-up for Sunday. We can do this thing. Marty?
Dave, defending Cup champion Matt Kenseth has what he describes as an average car for this weekend so far. They've gotten it better as the weekend has gone along. Now, this morning, Robbie Reiser told me the tire wear has been so good for us, I would consider taking only 2 in this race. After watching the first race, no way. I've got to have 4 tires if you're going to win this thing.
All right, so the stories from pit road as we get ready for the green flag in Gatorade 125, race number 2. 50 laps is the distance today. The pit window, the 25 if they make it there. We saw the caution come out for a tire problem on Scott Riggs' car in the first qualifying race at lap 22.
That's exactly right. Now and all these guys are concerned about that. So I doubt very seriously these teams will run these drivers much past lap 25 if it's perfect.
The top 14 finishers, not including Elliott Sadler, automatically transfer into the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Pace car is coming off. Crowd is standing up. And the green flag is about to wave here on Gatorade 125, race number 2.
Down low.
Nice drafting push from Kevin Harvick behind him in the 29. And so the inside lane starts to move forward.
A lot different than the first race when Biffle and Junior ran side by side for about 4 laps. Already Sadler has the lead, and Ricky Rudd has moved back to about 4th or 5th and a half lap. Oh, here he comes.
Banging fast. Look at that second lane come forward. Ricky Rudd up to the outside of Sadler for the lead. 3 deep farther back, Jeremy Mayfield, who dropped to the end of the field. Trying to come forward. He had changed an engine during the weekend, as had the Ken Schrader team.
Well, I'm impressed with Ricky Rudd. I thought was completely out of it. Here he comes by himself with really no drafting help.
Joe Nemechek behind him.
Now finally Nemechek gets up there. The 0-1 car of Nemechek this morning, Ryan Princeton and the crew installed a bar behind the front bumper so he could go up and knock those drivers past their competitors.
And Joe was pretty concerned about tire issues a couple of days ago, and talking with him this morning, he said that they thought they got the car a lot better, so they weren't as concerned about it as they were a couple days ago, but it's still there.
It's Mike Skinner back in the middle of that group in that blue car trying to work his way to the front. Another car that really needs to get in the top 15.
Yeah, Skinner with no provisional to fall back on because this is an extra car out of the Richard Childress shop this week. And his time trial speed was only 36th fastest. So
watching that car in the draft practice, though, he looked like he had a pretty good car in the draft. So Mike gets around this place really good. He knows how to draft really well, so he should be okay.
He was 13th that time by. Solidly in the Daytona 500.
Ricky Rudd poking out in front for the race lead as the inside line falls back a little bit. Rudd to the point, and that's Ryan Newman down low.
Going by Brian Vickers.
Is he flirting with it? He was flirting with that yellow line.
Wally's a pretty cool customer up here in the booth. He's pretty relaxed when he sits back in his chair and watches, but when he jumps up to the edge of his seat and starts looking and pointing, something's got his attention. That's right. Three deep. Was that Jimmy Johnson
Jimmy
up
Johnson
there?
in the center. Then you've got Robbie Gordon there.
Matt, has Robbie said anything about the 31 car?
Robbie Gordon, talking to a spotter, says the middle is just not working. Right before the green, Richard Childress said, you need to conserve the wear on that right front tire. Go to the high side and just save it. Robbie said 10-4. I've already talked to Johnny. He's trying to work his way up to the high line.
Yeah, that sometimes takes 5 or 6 laps to get an opening where you can get up in the high line. Right now, he's tucked in behind Ricky Craven.
Did you see
these guys
Sterling
just
Marlin
cutting it close.
in the Coors Light car, the silver machine, just about got into the left rear of Joe Nemechek, trying to get underneath him and fill that gap in the trials. That's for third place.
Harvick in the middle now. Marte, what are they saying about the 48 of Jimmy Johnson?
Well, it's not a lot of fun to be in the middle, is it?
No, it's not, especially if you're not handling.
He said, tell the 17, I didn't mean to be so aggressive, but I had to get to the top. I couldn't be in the middle any longer.
Yeah. It's a different day. We saw some of that going on in the Bud Shootout at night, but, you know, the track is slippery right now. It's hot. There's a lot more temperature. I just don't think you want to be there.
Ricky Craven is there now. Again, you're right. He doesn't want to be there. But now he's clear. He could go up if he wants.
How about Ricky Craven, Matty?
One advantage, Alan, to running in the second twin 125. You can listen on the radios to what the other teams were talking about during the first twin. They heard so many teams running hot. Ricky Craven's team took a little extra tape off that front grille just so when they were tucked up for traffic, the car would not be running too hot.
Now they got Harvick going to try to go through the middle.
Boy.
I don't know if that's going to work or not.
Got a pretty good run on Kevin LePage right there, but he let pull it off. Got Craven behind him.
He'll be about the 5th position on back. How about the champion, Matt Kenseth, Marty?
And speaking of listening on the radio, that's exactly what Robbie Reiser did during the first twin 125, just like Matt was just talking about. The one thing he learned, cars were very tight in that session. He was worried the 17 would be too tight. He said, I don't think we have it freed up enough, so that first stop for us will be very critical.
That 3 deep race is for 8th position. Kevin LePage on the inside. Ricky Craven in the middle. And Matt Kenseth up on the outside.
Robbie Gordon drops down behind LePage. He's going to give him a push, maybe. Not quite.
And Vickers is trying to push the 32 of Ricky Craven. That's Vickers in the blue and black 25. A Rebecca's Rookie Challenger this year.
So excited at the prospect of racing in his first Daytona 500 on Sunday.
I asked Brian, he was the NASCAR Busch Series champion last year, and I wondered what was the biggest difference to Busch and the company. He said, man, these Cub guys, they are aggressive. They go for it every lap. Marty?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I talked to him this morning about the same thing. He said he couldn't believe how aggressive these guys were. He had to step up his game a little bit. He said to me, this ain't the Busch Series.
Nope. Troubles.
We got somebody pushing out water out there all of a sudden.
Kevin LePage.
Yeah.
Blew the motor.
There you go. That's too bad. Kevin started this race in 3rd position. He'll be in the 500, no problem. He had the 6th fastest time trial speed to fall back on. But they have some work to do between now and Sunday on the 4 car. Ricky Rudd, Elliott Sadler, Sterling Marlin, top 3. A little breakaway at the front of the Gatorade 125, race number 2. TNT Sports live at Daytona International Speedway with the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. Looking to set the starting field for Sunday's Daytona 500. This is the second of today's Gatorade 125s. 5-car breakaway at the head of the field. The pack separated a little bit by Kevin LePage when he had troubles in the pack a minute ago. Watch the 4-car.
That's him. You see him going up the hill, almost getting in the side of the 25 as he slows, coming off turn 2. That's what you're talking about. The accordion effect got the 31 of Robbie Gordon, the 12 of Ryan Newman. They had to back up and let all these cars go by.
Yeah, 31 car had nowhere to go. He had to just wait until all the traffic up ahead of him or beside him went by, so he lost a lot of positions. He had to drop off the throttle, lost a lot of momentum, and Ron is back in 17th right now.
It's got to be so unnerving with all the bits and pieces out of the 4-car bouncing off the 31's windshield at 190 miles an hour.
Metals flying, that's just not good.
Ricky Rudd out in front, took the lead away at lap 3 from pole sitter Elliott Sadler. You see Elliott running second now. As that 5-car breakaway tries to get distance on the pack. Bill?
It's been very quiet for Ricky Rudd. They just told him to focus, run your line. But a few laps ago, he did say it's starting to shove up a little bit, shoving up a little bit, meaning the car is starting to tighten up just a little bit for Ricky Rudd. Been a great week for him so far and a great race here, Dave.
We've talked about how the guys are putting bumpers on these cars that might be used at a short track. How about brake and tire blowers? The 38 car has one pointed at the right front today, which is unusual for a super speedway. They had issues with their right front last week in the Budweiser shootout. They hope they fixed it for today. His car just a little bit tight from the center off, according to Elliott radioing in.
You know, these guys are really probably using their hand signals right now, just saying, stay in line, because this pack is broken away. And they're starting to make a little...
See, that's the gap we're showing you there between the leader, Ricky Rudd, and the first car in the next pack, Jimmy Johnson. And those guys in the second pack, Wally, are trying to do the same thing.
Right. They're trying to, they're trying to stay in line and trying to make some ground. The only problem with that front pack is it looks like Harvick is going up the racetrack like he can't run the bottom. And if he keeps doing that, they may catch him.
Kevin Harvick looks like he's overheating. He keeps moving inside, outside. It looks to me like he's trying to get some clean air. Dave, what's he saying?
He's overheating, BP.
Oh, thank you.
Exactly. He said his car's a little bit hot right now and that his car's a little bit tight. We talked about that in the first 125. You run up on top, you help correct that situation a little bit.
Dr. Parsons with the correct diagnosis.
Well, sometimes he'd run low through the corner, sometimes high through the corner. So I just felt like that. And these guys back in the pack, overheating is going to be a problem.
So things kind of settled in line for the moment. We're still a good 10 laps away from the pit stops. We'll come back if anything happens, but for now, we're watching NASCAR on TNT. Lots more racing from Daytona coming up this weekend. Saturday on NBC at noon Eastern time, the Hershey's Kisses 300 for the NASCAR Busch Series. And then Sunday at noon Eastern on NBC, the Daytona 500. Coverage starting with Discover Card Countdown to Green. And don't forget our encore presentation of the 500 Monday night, 2 a.m. Eastern on TNT. You just want to see it again. There it is. And there have been a lot of 500s. Very much worth just wanting to see again. 18 laps of 50 complete in the second of the Gatorade 125s. Only one car out of the race. Its driver is with Marty.
Very, very short day for Kevin LePage, and an engine failure, I guess, better today than on Sunday, right, Kevin?
Well, that's true, Marty. My hat's off to all the guys back at the engine shop. I mean, they worked real hard during the wintertime to get this YokeTV.com Monte Carlo up front. We did. We qualified 6 the other day, and unfortunately, we had to run the 125s to determine where we're going to start on Sunday, but for some reason, just something let go, and it was scary down in there because we were all in the touch, real tough pack, close together, a lot of bump drafting going on, and now I know why guys were reinforcing their front bumper. My front bumper's beat all the heck, and it wasn't for me. The guys pushing me into the guys in front of me, but the guys got another good motor here, and this wasn't going to be our 500 motor anyway. We had one we were going to put in, but we're just putting it in about, 41 laps too soon, I guess.
There you go. He does have the 6th fastest qualifying time. Is talked about safely in the 500.
He talked about not using that engine in the 500. They had to use one engine from qualifying through the 125s. Now, tomorrow they will install a fresh engine, and that engine has to stay in the car through the Daytona 500. If you change, then you have to start at the rear of the field.
You can try NASCAR.com's Track Pass absolutely free. BP's
love that word.
Love Speed Weeks. Log on to NASCAR.com. You can get live race coverage, including in-car audio, telemetry data, and video highlights from all of the events taking place here at Daytona.
That second pack, Jimmy Johnson anyway, is slowly but surely catching those guys in front of him.
He's gained about 0.2 of a second on that pack, and the closer he gets, the faster he'll gain on them.
At 0.2 on that last lap.
Yeah.
So really needs for Rusty and Matt Kenseth to get a little bit closer behind him.
tell you what, these guys watched that first race, and they're all just sitting there very, very concerned about their tires. As Kenseth tries to go by Rusty Wallace and take over that position, that would be a battle for the 7th spot.
We're right at that mark, BP, where Scott Riggs had his trouble.
Chad Knaus quoted in the local Daytona Beach papers here earlier this morning with some very, very strong comments about the tire situation, saying in so many words NASCAR was trying to hurt someone with this softer tire combination. We asked Chad to elaborate on that a little further this morning in the garage area. Here's what he had to say.
We as NASCAR, Goodyear, the teams, everybody trying to get the aero package and the tire package figured out, and we're just having a hard time with it. You know, we had a set of tires on the car that the right front came apart. Now, whether that was a reason because of setup or aerodynamics or driver, we don't really know for sure yet. It's just a bit of a concern of mine. Nobody wants to hurt any drivers. We all know that, and we all know that everybody's doing the best job that they can right now. You know, we made some pretty dramatic changes to the car to try to get it a little bit better, to try to make sure that doesn't happen. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Thoughts of Chad Knaus following up on some printed quotes that were a little bit stronger, I think, than he intended to come out. But you can hear the frustration in his voice. I spoke with him in the garage this morning. He is frustrated because nobody wants to run into a situation like this. They think they're doing the right things to their race car, but it's obviously not working out.
And that's all it is. I mean, Chad is very frustrated trying to get a handle on the car. What NASCAR's trying to do is make the racing better. That's what they're trying to do. That was their plan for this tire. And I think once these teams get a handle on it, it's going to be great racing.
Well, it is going to be last Saturday night's race. The Budweiser shootout could not have been better. Here we go. Battle for the lead.
Yep. Elliott Sadler with no drafting help.
And Harvick has moved up to the 3rd position as these cars now at about 20 laps, they've started that pushing and they're slowing down, aren't they, Bill?
Yes, they are. About 5 laps away from a pit stop for Ricky Rudd. On the radio, the car is tight and loose out front. He has both conditions. He said it'll be different if we end up back in the pack. But the car had been excellent getting into 1. That's where he had the advantage, but that's gone now.
I think Harvick is going to be looking for a way around that 38 fast. Yeah, as soon as he can.
Harvick the 2nd, Sterling Marlin now alongside Rudd for 3rd, and Joe Nemechek is the last of the front 5 draft there.
He may be moving around to get some air in that grill. He still looks tight to me, Kevin Harvick does.
I think he is a little bit tight.
A little bit of side-by-side racing up front allowed that second group to chop some of their deficit away.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. If they're out there for a half a lap, that group in the back will catch them.
We're a lap away from halfway. Marty, what's 48 team thinking pit stop-wise?
They're probably going to try to extend it as far as they can, probably around lap 35. They like to come with their teammate, Brian Vickers, but he is behind them. They're trying to work with Matt Kenseth as to where they can work together to run that front pack down. Jimmy wants to run the high line. Matt does as well. Matt is concerned that if he runs the bottom line, he's going to wear out that right front too much. Dave?
6-car Mark Martin is running in the pack, but I don't think he's smiling like it was at the beginning. He reports a motor situation going into the turns. He says it feels like it's dying. Remember, his teammate, the 99 of Jeff Burton in the first race, had trouble as well. Matt?
Ryan Newman, Dave, is slowly catching that pack in front. He's left both Schrader and Robbie Gordon. He doesn't have a pitting partner, so Matt Borland told Ryan, if you see the guys in front, hit pit road, go with it. We are ready. Going to make a chassis adjustment. His car is just way too tight off turn 2.
And remember, if you're not all that familiar with NASCAR strategy, here at Daytona where the engines are restricted, you don't want to pit by yourself. You want to have a drafting partner to help you get up to speed more quickly when you leave after your pit stop.
Which is why the pit stops are so important anyway. Even if you don't have it, if you come in with a group, if you have one little glitch in a pit stop, you're going to lose all that time with the guys that you've come in with and you've been running with on the racetrack the whole time.
No takers on the pit stops this lap by as the leaders come storming by the entrance to pit road.
Did Marty say lap 35?
Yeah, well, see, what the difference is, they can go that far on fuel, but do they want to push the tires that far? And the gamble you take, if you short pit, if you stop now, and somebody else runs to lap 35 and the caution comes out before they pit, you got problems.
Then you're going to be a lap down, and you can't win from there. So that's the concern they all have. I'm sure that each of these drivers and teams would love to pit right now and change 4 tires, but they've all got to do it. If someone stays out and catches that caution, just like Alan said,
I'd be surprised to see if they go lap 35.
But yeah, then there's the rub on the strategy. Is someone's car is going to be handling so poorly after seeing what happened in the first race with Scott Riggs' car. they're going to make a move to pit road. And once one gets fresh tires, everybody will be heading to pit road.
What do you see Monkey do?
Yep. No takers yet. On board, Kevin Harvick, second place driver. I talked with Kevin a couple days ago in the garage as he was making his practice runs, and he is just so content. He said, no changes to our team over the winter. That's the first time that's happened since I've been with RCR. I'm so happy with the way my team is structured, the way it's set, the way we're performing. This is going to be a really great year for me.
Makes a big difference. Got that confidence that everything's going to be like it was or better than last year.
Hey, Marty, what about the strategy now? What are they saying?
I was saying they can go to lap 35 should they choose to do that. Hendrick team's about 2 laps away. Ralph's team's coming in this time.
Here they come. Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth on the brakes. Mark Martin, Mike Skinner, and Ryan Newman. Scott Wimmer trying to lock him down. That's Scott Wimmer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, Marty.
Jimmy Johnson hitting pit road. His car was tight on that run. It got tighter the longer they ran. They're going to make a wedge adjustment. You see that in the left side. It'll be 4 tires. Other than that, pretty happy, Bill.
Well, checking out some more pit stops. Dave, go ahead.
No changes for Mark Martin, and they didn't lift the hood, which is a good sign. 4 tires for Mark.
The 12 was in. Ryan Newman, chassis adjustment. The car was tight. Mike Skinner, a little over the line. He had to back up. Lugs going on. Left side of Ryan Newman, service complete. Work still going on Skinner Chevrolet.
Boy, that's going to cost Mike there because they all left without him.
Yep.
And he's going to lose that draft.
Now some of the other front runners coming in. Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, Jeremy Mayfield. And some of the cars toward the back of the running order. Ken Schrader, Kyle Petty, Brian Vickers, Johnny Benson, all coming into pit. So the leader, Elliott Sadler, has stayed out. Dave?
Well, Jeremy Mayfield's going to be the guy that tries the 2-tire stop. They're going to take 2 right side tires and send him up.
Steve Wallace on pit road, chassis adjustment, 4 tire stop, a battle for him to get to the front here, not running as well as they have hoped. All by himself here on pit road, long stop, Marty.
Boy, Bill, Brian Vickers came through, just absolutely overshot his pits. They had to push him back, losing valuable time here on pit road. More importantly, losing drafting partners. He had a great handling car. Then when he came back in, he was too close to the wall. Now he stalls the car trying to leave pit road.
Ken Schrader overshot his pit too. Jeremy Mayfield with just right side tires. We'll check that. Now the leaders are in. Dave.
The 38 of Elliott Sadler, they agreed with the 29, and coming out in this lap of Kevin Harvick, they're going to change 4 tires, make a slight air pressure adjustment to try to help Elliott's tight race car. Bill?
Slight air pressure adjustment for Ricky Rudd. Car getting a little tight, trying to find the handle. 4 tires and fuel. He'll be heading back out. Matt?
Robbie Gordon nursed his Chevrolet into his pit stall. He told his team that he flat spotted the right front on entering the pit road. It is indeed flat. They made a chassis adjustment. We told you earlier, the car was just too tight for Robbie. He couldn't keep it on the bottom. Hopefully this will help.
The problem is that all the cars are gone. Robbie Gordon is going to be on the racetrack by himself.
Well, now he's got the 32 in front of him of Ricky Craven, but that's the thing we talked about, boy. Man, you cannot make a little mistake on pit road.
Go ahead, Dave.
The 29 car of Kevin Harvick pitted. Did he lose his drafting partner, the 38 guys, or not?
No, he's right with him.
Very good. They had a great pit stop. No chassis changes to the car. They did take a little tape off the front end to try to help that overheating situation.
I actually thought he might get out ahead of Elliott Sadler because Sadler had to brake hard before turning into his pit box from somebody else leaving their pit stall when he was coming in. Almost got tangled up with another car, but Sadler's crew able to get him out in front of Kevin Harvick.
Well, the guys that had trouble, we got Skinner, Schrader, and Vickers are all running together.
Yeah. But here's the big story. Head of the field is Jeremy Mayfield. Remember, they just got right side tires Saturday night in the Budweiser shootout? And he was the only one who did that tonight. Instead of being out there with 6 other guys, he's all by himself, and here comes the charge.
Yep, and when they get to him, they'll probably charge on by.
The field of 4 tired cars headed by Elliott Sadler.
And that pit stop by Skinner has him back in the 17th position.
And he's running with Kyle, but he's lost the pack. It's just those 2 cars, so they got a lot of ground to make up.
I want to get Marty to check also. I think Johnny Benson might have gotten just right side tires. I want to get him to confirm that. But here they come up on Mayfield's bumper.
Mayfield.
Goodbye.
Yep.
baby, 29's coming with you.
Hard to stop that momentum when that pack comes up on you like that. You're out there by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of factors there. He's only got the right side tires, plus he had no drafting help, Dave.
On top of the pit box now, Kenny Francis on the end, and Sammy Johns right in the middle there, watching to see what happens with this two-tire stop. It's a gamble. He got lots of track position, but now they want to see how long he can last up in the lead pack. Matt?
Now, when we talk about flat-spotted tires, you can see this is the right front tire of Robbie Gordon. When he locked it up, it's much like we taking a racer on a desk and just grind away. That's exactly what happened to the rubber on this Goodyear tire. Robbie was supposed to pit the lap before. He made the call from the cockpit to stay out one more lap, and it cost him dearly on the racetrack, guys.
Robbie Gordon back in 15th place right now, though he is in the last transfer spot. Elliott Sadler leads the second of today's Gatorade 120.